Ah, Nintendo. The company known to give so much of a shit about their IPs that they tear down an entire orphanage for having a kid named Luigi. Finally! Another one for the collection! What if Nintendo didn't give a shit? Well, as it turns out, there's plenty of weird-ass Mario games. Back in the 80s, Nintendo just slapped Mario onto basically anything. They put him in NES pinball, tennis, golf? I guess that's Mario? Look, he's in Tetris too! God damn, this man goes places. Let's take a look at some weird early Mario games, and see what weird shit he got himself into before going to the Mushroom Kingdom and being their alleged plumber. Let's start from the very beginning. That's right, all the way back in 1981, Falcon would publish Crazy Kong, which was basically just Donkey Kong ported to Crazy Climber hardware with a few changes. The sound effects were different, the palettes were different, the collision detection is a bit fucked up, and some animations don't work properly. They'd release a sequel later that year named Crazy Kong Part 2. It's basically a bug fix update, but also tweaked a few levels to make them harder, like adding some holes in the 25 meters after the first level. Somehow Nintendo endorsed all this, as long as the game stays in Japan. Nintendo would then sue both Falcon and the US distributor, Elcon Industries, in 1982. Damn, Nintendo ninjas even existed back then too. You know Stanley, right? Proud Smash Bros. Trophy in spirit? Turns out he came from the Game & Watch game, Greenhouse. Yes, it's 2 words. No fucking clue why. Basically, the game's about Stanley spraying bugs that try to eat the flowers in the titular greenhouse. It's another one of those dual-screen Game & Watch games, a lot like the Donkey Kong Game & Watch game you've probably seen before. The ladder in the middle connects the 2 screens, and Stanley can climb up to it, much like in Donkey Kong. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Stanley first appeared in Donkey Kong 3! Well, no. Greenhouse predated Donkey Kong 3 by about a year. Fuck it, I'll quickly go through this shitty game as well. DK infests Stanley's greenhouse with bugs. Shoot the bugs out of the sky and shoot DK in the balls. Unfortunately, I don't think canned air will hurt very much, so Stanley was left constantly shooting bugs and balls for all eternity. The end. Why does this exist? Basically, imagine Donkey Kong Jr. with basic arithmetic. This was the first and only educational game in the Black Box NES series, and the sales reflect that. For some reason, they re-released the damn game on Wii and Wii U. Did anyone actually buy it? I don't know. Let's move on. Did you know Mario served in Vietnam? I'm not even joking. Mario's Bombs Away is a real Game & Watch game that somehow even got released in Game & Watch Gallery 4. How the fuck did Nintendo approve this? In 2002, no less? Okay, ridiculousness aside, basically have Mario carry a bomb from one of his comrades to another, both creatively named Buddy. These assholes in the trees are carrying torches though. If they torch you, the bomb will light, and Mario will force into a kamikaze attack on his own men. At least Mario could file himself as a veteran on his legal documents. Want some more third-party Mario games? Hudson Soft, who would later go on to make all the good Mario Party games, started their Mario venture with the PC-88 versions of various Mario games, starting with Donkey Kong 3, with this weird-ass looking DK on the cover. Basically, take Galaga, restrict your movement to just left and right, and you have PC-88 Donkey Kong 3. Pretty lame. Next, Mario Bros. Special. Despite the name, this is a completely different game from the original Mario Bros. The first level has moving platforms, the second has trampolines, the third has conveyor belts. It's basically a sequel to the original. It's just not going to be as smooth as the original due to the performance of the PC-88. They'd continue down this path with Punchball Mario Bros. It's basically Mario Bros with easier levels and this weird ball you can use to attack enemies. The best part, however, is the instruction book's interpretation of the story. At some point, humans gained the ability to use tools. At first, they were simple things using the bones of animals and fragments of rock. Using their wisdom, humans improved their tools. Harnessing fire, wind, and nowadays even atomic energy. They began to build up a sophisticated culture. On the other hand, however, there are people who still only use stone. How do they catch game and defend themselves from outsiders? Using only their strong jumping power in stone spheres. They use those skillfully to defend themselves. Here, we introduce two such people. It seems their names are Mario and Luigi. Will they ever learn about sophisticated culture? So basically, Hudson Soft just called Mario and Luigi dumbasses in the most convoluted way possible. Let's just move on to the last, but the most interesting one of the bunch, Super Mario Bros. Special. Again, it's basically a sequel to the original, but since the game in question is Super Mario Bros., they basically made a whole new game. Now, don't get me wrong, the PC-88 and X1 hardware it was released on proved very limiting, since the screen can't scroll by itself, and the palette is vomit-inducing. But they made a bunch of new levels, some new power-ups. Quite honestly, this game might be better than the Lost Levels. If you want to play this, I'd recommend finding Mario Crossover version 3 or above on Flashpoint. You can play through Mario 1, Special, and Lost Levels with a bunch of different characters there, with no compromises, and a bunch of different themes too. It's pretty cool. There's actually a few other variants of Super Mario Bros. Out there. One of the more interesting is All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. It's basically Mario 1 with the Lost Levels graphics for the most part. Some Mario 1 graphics are used, and most interestingly of all, some enemies, objects, and sprites were changed to reflect the All Night Nippon radio show. They'd even change World 1 to night to fit the show's theme. Versus Super Mario Bros. Would launch in arcades around the same time, with similar changes, minus the whole All Night Nippon theme. Interestingly, they'd shuffle around the levels in this game, putting some World 7 levels in World 2, and even using a few levels from Lost Levels. Obviously so you spend more quarters when you die all the time. You could play this version on the Switch, interestingly enough. I remember people buying this all the time before NSO had a virtual console included in it, and it also didn't cost a cent for these dogshit servers. But enough about that. Let's get back to learning! Well, this isn't really an educational game, or a game at all really. I Am a Teacher, Super Mario Sweater, weird name I know, is basically an application for the Famicom Disk System that let you knit pixel art of various Mario characters, and get sent a real sweater in the mail from this Japanese company named Royal Industries. Obviously, this only really worked in Japan and for a limited time. Still an interesting little tidbit in Mario's history though. Here's the last game I'm going to talk about today. Kaita Kita Mario Bros. Is genuinely the definitive version of Mario Bros. Outside the GBA games, and let me tell you why. Mario can move in midair. That's right, they fixed the main problem that affected Mario Bros. For so long, all the way back in 1988. This whole game was basically a promotion, co-developed by Nagatanien, who makes food in Japan. You could actually see a few ads for shit like Mario 3 Furikake before starting a game. Now, the game's only in Japan, but someone did make an English translation back in 2016. I might link it in the description if I remember to. If it's not there, yell at me in the comments. Now, I could keep going and talk about other strange Mario games from the 90s, but I can't be fucked right now. Everyone already knows about Hotel Mario anyway.